All right, good morning, good morning, good morning, Atlanta world, and especially to those who are live at the Daily Huddle and those of you who are here on Facebook, good morning. My name is Giovanni Gonzalez, and I am honored and privileged to be co-hosting the Daily Huddle, where we say here that the way you start your day gives you the rest of your day, and the way that you live each day gives you the rest of your life. And so we're committed to start you with context that empowers you so that you have a powerful life. Everybody has something to say. Everybody's lives matter. Your life matter, and the Daily Huddle, it's here to give you context so that you connect all of those things that are missing in your life, that puzzle that your life is, and share your voice out there. So today I get to co-host with the #1 executive coaching expert, Mr. Saurel Quettan. It's an honor to be your partner and co-host this Daily Huddle with you. Good morning, Saurel.
Good morning, Giovanni. The honor is all mine, my friend. I get to be with the #1 transformational leadership coach, and that's always life-giving. So thank you for being my co-host. To all of you in the virtual studio audience, thank you. And to all of you watching live around the world, this conversation is for you, like literally. I'm asking you to listen this morning as if we're speaking to you. I'm from Haiti, and today happens to be a special day for me. Today is Haitian Flag Day. And around the world, people in the Haitian diaspora are celebrating 18 May. 18 May. You are from Haiti. I mentioned the blue and red on with your shirt in the background, Mark. Those are the colors of the Haitian flag. And as someone who is from Haiti, I'm inviting you to celebrate that day with me today. And today's expert guest has a little bit to say about that. And also a little bit to say about the link between your success as an entrepreneur and your participation in the political process. Now, you may be asking yourself, do I really count? And if I do count, whether I take action or not, what do I have to gain? What do I have to lose? Well, this morning, Peri Frances, good friend of mine, is here to address that question with us. Peri's an educator, an organizer, and an activist. She's a dynamic speaker who will speak on the significance of today, Haitian Flag Day. What's at stake for the 2020 census, and the rights and responsibilities of you, your rights, your responsibilities in a system where it's participatory. And she will definitely answer the question, do history and empowering people to make educated choices through civic engagement and voter education. So, ladies and gentlemen, world, my good friend, Peri Frances. Peri, good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Saurel. Bon fête drapeau. I'm very happy to be here with you and huddle up in the Daily Huddle to talk to you about making our voices count, and do I count? And talk to you a bit about the significance of Haitian Flag Day throughout the diaspora, and my Black Plus. And so I'm going to be speaking to you today. I am representing BAJI, which is the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, which is the largest Black immigrant-led organization in the country. And so what we do is we educate and engage African American and Black immigrant populations and communities so that they organize for and advocate for racial, economic, and social justice. by empowering people to develop their leadership and organizing skills in campaigns to fight for justice and dignity for immigrants and all people. So that is my stand. That's the lens that I'm coming from. But I invite people as they listen to listen from their community, from what they have to gain or what they have at stake, and listening from what's important to them and do they count? Because my stand is that everybody counts. And so there's mechanisms by which we can be sure that we count. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about today. We're in very unique, historic, odd times. This is a time of uncertainty. It's a time of unknowingness. It's a time in some of the ways in which we used to know ourselves to be are shifting. The way we, found value for ourselves, or said, people who used to say, oh, I'm a consultant, now are like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home dad who does homeschooling. It's a shift. So people are looking for ways in which to assert that they're here, that they matter. And so there's being so many things that are occurring right now that we can't control. I want to have us look at something that we can control. A very simple way to impact our lives and our communities, to be counted, to make our voices heard, and to say, I'm here, I count, I'm participating in the census. So as you may know or may not know, the census happens every 10 years. So this, in the height of this pandemic, in the height of an election year, with everything else that we've got going on, this is a census year. And a census year is very, very crucial. It is going to determine a lot of things that impact many different aspects of our lives for the next 10 years. So I like to say that the census is, at its core, it's about money, power, and respect. It's about getting the resources and getting the representation that you rightfully deserve. It's not an entitlement, but it is what you are entitled to. So, every 10 years, we take an account. It is actually mandated by the Constitution in Article 1, Sections 1 and 2, that there be a count of every person in the United States. That does not mean every citizen. That does not mean every person of any political party. That does not mean any person of a particular education level or a particular work job title. It means every person. Every person counts. And so we know that historically there are communities that are considered hard to count or hard to reach. And then it becomes like a vicious circle. Like, these are the communities that are hard to count. These are the people who are participating at a lower level in the census. And those, therefore, are the same communities that in many ways are underfunded or underrepresented. There are also communities where people tend to have, skepticism, reticence about participating in our democracy or giving information to our government, which again becomes like a vicious cycle where, at one point, yes, there is probably good reason to have that perspective, but it also then denies access to some of these resources that are very crucial. And so I think a lot of times when people get the envelope, it goes in the circular file, or it sits on the desk, or people don't really realize what's in it for them or what do they have at stake. And we know what motivates people to act is feeling like there's something in it for them. So what's in it for people in the census is so wide reaching and impacts so many different areas of life. So funding for emergency services, Medicaid, Medicare, the number of seats in a Head Start or classrooms, free and subsidized lunches, Section 8, Pell Grants, community development, health clinics, roads and bridges, natural disaster responses, health crisis responses, senior centers. All of these things are, their funding is allocated through federal funding through the United States Census. So, here we are in 2020, in the midst of a pandemic, and we're looking to, provide adequate health services, know how many ICU beds or how many senior centers are in our communities. When we go and we see the families lining up to get their school lunches because schools are closed, how did they know how many students they should be allocating and budgeted for? It was from the census. So we see by our non-participation, some of the same communities that are actually in the greatest need, that are the most vulnerable, are receiving less because they weren't counted. So, so basically that is the sort of double-edged sword, is like people have a mistrust or don't feel that they have been the beneficiary, therefore they don't participate, therefore the cycle continues. So so basically what we do at Baji is look at, and this is how it relates also to Haitian Flag Day and to uniting people throughout the diaspora. So one of the things that we know is that when we say all people should be counted, we also know that on this census, we have the opportunity to, this is the first time in the census, that you can actually distinguish yourself by your race, but also by your nationality, by your country of origin or ethnicity. So we look to celebrate all of the diaspora, but also to highlight particular communities. So today is the 18 May, it's Haitian Flag Day. So this is the day that we celebrate l'union fait la force. So unity, strength and unity. So this is the day that we acknowledge those Haitian forefathers, foremothers, and ancestors who fought for the liberation of all African people. This is the day that we acknowledge that they were leading the liberty and emancipation movements all throughout this hemisphere. This is the day that we acknowledge that we are really one people, and that, in many, many ways, the example that was led by, the Haitian Revolution becoming this free, independent Black nation was inspirational to so many communities to fight for freedom, to fight for representation, and to fight for resources. So in that, we may not necessarily be Haitian or maybe Haitian by long extraction. We honor the Haitian community, we celebrate with the Haitian community, and we acknowledge that we're asking, the Haitian community and all communities to stand up, to be counted, to make their presence known. And one way I like to think of the census, myself as a person of African descent in the Americas, I'm really interested in genealogy and history. I've been lucky enough to trace my ancestry from the New World back to Africa on both sides. And one of the ways in which you find information about your ancestors is through the census. So the census to me is like a government-sponsored love letter to your descendants that says, we were here, we counted, we mattered, and I left this trace for you. We are in uncertain times. There's going to be changes in demographics, in budget cuts in states. People might want to reconsider living densely in urban areas. So the snapshot of where we were and who we were and where we lived in 2020 when this situation came about in the world, future historians, future government officials, people looking to plan our recovery and our re-entry into the fullness of our economy is going to come from the 2020 census. If you want to, have a part, a say, it's like there's different ways that we can participate in this democracy, right? You can vote, but everyone who participates in the census may not be able to vote because the census counts all residents, not all citizens. So you don't have to be a citizen to participate in the census. You vote, and also people pay taxes. You pay taxes when you buy something, you pay your income taxes. The taxes and the census go hand in hand because this is your opportunity to say where that money is going by saying, I am here, my family is here, my community is here, we are part of this population. Therefore, we want what's allocated for us. We want what's coming to us. Again, it's not an entitlement, but it's what you're entitled to. So I have this saying that I have framed in my house, and it says, the Hopi say that we are in the fourth world, the world of turning. And in the fourth world, no matter what you deserve, you're only going to get what you're capable of asking for. So the census is a way of asking for what you deserve.
That is a fitting way to end your remarks, Peri. You're only going to get what you're capable of asking for. There's a huge responsibility that you and I have, and that individual business owners have, to participate. So literally, when you speak of funds being allocated for projects like bridges, funds being allocated for any government-led or paid-for projects, these funds actually are connected directly to businesses owned by us getting projects. And if these projects don't get funded, and so the link is so intricate, and yet to say just push it just a little bit and get what we deserve, it's essential that we participate. So I'd love to see by a show of hands, because the people who are on here, it would also be phenomenal for you to have participated or plan to participate in the census. So by show of hand, if you've already gone online to census.gov, correct, Peri?
Yes, you can go to census.gov, you can go to my2020census.gov, you can put in any search engine, Census 2020 Census, it'll take you right there. You can fill out the census by phone, you can call them in. You will, if you did not get an envelope, which most people do, it takes 10 minutes and it determines the next 10 years.
And so how many of you, by a show of hands, have already done so? Just raise your little blue hand in Zoom under participants. Or
hi, Sheila. Thank you.
Or go ahead and raise your hand on the camera. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now Peri's tasked you today.
Hi, Rose.
Go ahead. Count it.
Exactly.
So, Giovanni, any remarks on your end?
I think for me, what I wanted to say is I always have this admiration for people who are committed to the greater good, and for public service and for education to all, right? And I love how Peri was saying it's not an entitlement, it's what you're entitled to. And I also really love, Peri, that how you make the connection to this legacy and the opportunity that we are now as citizens and as human beings here who live in the United States, that we are now to the people in 10 years from now, 20 years from now. How you make that connection. I really appreciate the thought and the reasoning behind it. I actually didn't put it together that way before. So thank you for enlightening me and many of us who I speak for. That's what I wanted to say so far. I'm wondering if anybody in the audience have any questions or comments.
Sheila has her hand up. Go ahead, Sheila. Good morning.
Hello. Hi, Peri. How are you?
I'm excellent, Sheila. Good to see you.
So good to see you. I wouldn't have missed you. I just want to say this is so great, and I have not done mine. I have the envelope. I promise you, when I get off this call, it's done. But the other action, and Peri, this is also a suggestion or input. I'm going to also get an email to my pastor. I think with the pandemic, the consensus has dropped out.
Yeah.
Census, I meant. And I don't know if you can, get yourself on Good Morning Atlanta, or I'm really clear. It's like in the background, not present for people, because it got unpresent for me until this conversation. So I just want to suggest, and those of you who go to church, I know I'm going to get it. I go to, online church. And there's not been one announcement about it. So it could be really missing.
One of the reasons why I wanted to particularly come on the Daily Huddles, because I know that the Daily Huddle attracts people who are active and engaged in their communities. So if you have a faith-based organization, if you have a civic organization, especially if you have a community-based organization that reaches, my particular area of interest is Black immigrants and the African-American community. But if you contact me, I'd be happy to get in touch with your pastor, or, or come on and do a Zoom or a brief workshop, or get a blurb in your newsletter, because it has dropped out of people's consciousness because we have so many other things going on right now. But we need to think about, like, if we look at all of the things that are occurring right now that are based upon our participation or lack of participation in the last census.
Yeah.
And so it is, and it's 10 minutes, like I said, with so many things that are uncertain that we don't have a say in. This is a simple 10-minute thing that you have a say in. So if you are or consider yourself a leader in your community, if you have a group that you think would be that this information would be helpful for, I think also, while I am particularly looking at the Black immigrant community, like I said, everybody has a community that they are concerned with, and the goal is that everybody counts. Everybody. Yeah. Babies, count them. Elders, count them. Yeah. Mixed status families where some people have immigration status and some people are undocumented, count them.
It's really great.
Everybody count.
And
okay, let's talk.
Okay, great.
Peri, it's also, if you have someone who's not a family member living at your place,
yes,
they're here during the counting period, you count them too.
Yes. So so they ask you to look, Census Day is April 1st. So they're asking you to look who was in residence in your household on April 1st. So that means your college students who should have been at school but actually were at home because of the pandemic or on spring break, count them. Your relative who was only staying with you for a few months because it's closer to their job or, whatever, count them. So it's a very, very valuable snapshot. Like I said, it's easier than it's ever been before. You can go online, you can use the phone call-in system. The other reason why we want to go ahead and get it done, like Sheila said, it just slipped my mind, is because one of the ways in which people are discouraged from participating in our democracy, like this particular census, is woefully underfunded. There used to be census centers in different communities where people would go and they could get assistance with filling out their census. They could get, all kind of supports. Those centers have been closed. There's less remunerators, people who are going to be walking and knocking on the people who did not fill out their form. There's less and less funding for that. So if you have the form, if you intend to do it, go ahead and do it now, because then they won't have to allocate money for mailing, money for postage to send you that envelope 2, 3, 4 more times, and then a whole person to come and knock on your door. Especially a lot of people in the immigrant community are fearful of people coming and knocking on their door. So fill out the form and they won't come.
Great, great. We're going to do 4 rapid fire questions, all right? Rapid fire. We'll start with Rose, then we'll go to Tyrone, then Mark, then Laura K. So Rose, you go.
Thanks. Peri, oh my goodness. Okay, so for entrepreneurs, small business owners, I never ever thought about the census, the information from the census as a source of data.
Yes. So one way that it impacts in entrepreneurs is, so when the recovery funds happened and they said, oh, we're going to give out SBA loans, and where do you think they figured out how to allocate how many loans they needed in any particular county, state, zip code? From the census, right? Also, when people are looking to move a business, a manufacturing or an office or a call center to a community, they pull the census data so that they say, well, how many people, likely employees or likely customers are here, right? So see how then it becomes like a double-edged sword. Like, we are looking for jobs in our community, but we don't respond to the census. So when the companies are coming, they don't consider where we are. It's like it all goes together.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tyrone, you're next.
Yes, Peri, this is a good conversation.
Hi, Tyrone.
How are we doing in terms of people replying either online or by mail, particularly in the minority communities?
So great question, Tyrone. I'm so glad you asked, and you are probably in the demographic of the least likely to respond. Black men between the ages of 18 and 50 are way more likely to not respond to their census. Right now, we are about, overall nationwide, 60% response compared to 2010. And we already know that, and again, I'm speaking for my community, but you can try it on for yours, is that in the Black community, in the 2010 census, we estimate that there was like 2.5 million people who went undercounted. So if we're already below where we were then we're not in such great stead. And I recognize that, as Sheila pointed out, it's because we have the pandemic. But also we're fighting against we probably are at the highest point in time of just cynicism and skepticism towards the government, towards the media, towards participating. And it's at the precise moment when we need most to be engaged. If nothing else, we can see from this circumstance, it is so true. All politics is local.
When is the drop dead point that you can reply online or by phone so that I can start talking? I sent mine in, but I'm just thinking about how many of my friends probably didn't do it. So when is the drop dead date?
So they have extended, due to the pandemic, the drop dead date. But as I previously explained, because the census is woefully underfunded, I like people to consider that the drop dead date is today. Today is the last day to fill out, complete, and send in your census. Okay. Because when you say to people, oh, it's been extended until October, they think, oh, no rush, I have plenty of time. And then they don't send it in. And then the government pays for more mailings. And then they have to hire more remunerators. And then we're sapping an already underfunded resources. So I would say today, by the close of business today, or whatever day it is that you talk to your friends and community members. So the actual date is in October, and we want to bring a sense of urgency to it now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say June 1st then, and that's how I will motivate my friends and colleagues. Thank you.
All right, 2 more. Mark, you're up, and then Laurie K.
Hi, Peri. How's it going?
Hi, Mark. Excellent.
So I received the census in the mail, and I got it done right away. It was very easy just to go online and fill it out. And you touched on my question. I have friends and people that I know that feel a little uncomfortable about being known. I don't know their immigration status and all that kind of stuff, but my Spanish friends, some of my Jamaican friends, and so on and so forth, should we be encouraging them to fill out the census?
Yes.
And again, I don't know their status and all of that stuff, but shouldn't they be counted?
So I'd like to address that. It's a super great question. I'm so glad you asked. So I think a lot of times people have an idea of what's in that envelope that is way more invasive than it actually is. It's not serious. Like so the census information is confidential. It is protected. No other government organization can get access to your census information. So ICE cannot get it. Your landlord cannot get it. It is protected. Also, it's protected for 75 years for even identifying you as an individual. The information on the census is used in the aggregate, not in the individual. So it's not saying Mark Ham, who lives at 449 East 56th Street, is saying Black man, 46, lives in zip code such and such, so and so. If you have it, if someone is telling you that they don't want to fill out the census, ask them, do they have a cell phone in their pocket? Do they have a grocery store loyalty card? Have they ever applied for a credit card? They have given way more information in doing all of those things, and that information is not protected. Those companies can sell your information. So, homie, they already know where you are. They, if anybody wants to find you, I promise you they can. However, this is actually protected information, and it's to be used in the aggregate, not in the individual, but it's important, and for our immigrant communities, we need to know so that they can get full empowerment and access to resources. How many Jamaicans live in Stone Mountain? Or, how many El Salvadorans live in Gwinnett? That's important information for funding their community. So yes, encourage them to fill it out. That we have census information in I can't even remember, so many different languages: Haitian Creole, Twi, Yoruba, Spanish, Korean. You can yes. You can do it. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, 10 years. Lori K, sorry.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a downer. So, but I couldn't help when you were talking wondering about how gerrymandering interacts with the census and how they and all of that.
So glad you asked. So, the census determines resources. The census determines representation. We know that here in the state of Georgia, we have been gerrymandered within an inch of our lives. How people are able to redesign and redraw the districts to favor specific parties and communities is directly related to our non-participation in the census. If people who are undercounted are underrepresented. People who are underrepresented are easily ignored in the political process. So it all goes together. So yes, the way to combat gerrymandering is by participating in the census and by voting. That's it. And when people say does it really count? Do I matter? My vote doesn't really count. My census doesn't really count. I point to the number of lawsuits and political action that it takes to protect your census and your right to vote. This administration attempted to put a citizenship question on this census. I don't even know whether they really thought that they would be successful, but they knew that it would get widespread media coverage and that people would think that it was there even if it wasn't. You see what I'm saying? Which would then ask yourself who benefits by your not participation, right? Because
they kind of use that as a tactic to scare people to not be in the to participate.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So that we never really reap the benefits of a participatory democracy if everyone doesn't fully participate.
And if there's more people who participate, then they get more electoral votes. Is that right?
So the census determines the number of seats in the House and congressional districts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Great question. Thank you.
Lively conversation. We're at 9:35, and Peri, we want to give you your last words, and I'd love for you to lace your last words by saying something about the homeless being counted.
So yes, so there is an effort to count our friends who live outside. There is an effort to count our community members who are not at liberty, our prisoners. There is an effort to count our immigrant communities. So the key thing that I want people to take away is that you count, and that you should encourage other people to get counted. That this is, a part, you pay your taxes. You want to determine where that money goes. This is a way to do that. It's 10 minutes. It can determine the next 10 years of your community. A lot of us have things, particular aspects that we're really passionate about in our community, whether it's the environment or parks or roads or schools. Many people are at home with their children, and I keep hearing people say, oh, I have such appreciation for teachers now. Teachers should be paid whatever they want. Well, they should also have their schools funded. So fill out your census. You really might not be able to slip your teacher an extra, Benjamin when you go back to school, but you could fill out your census. I just feel like so many different aspects of life, like right now we're in a situation where people don't feel like they have control. You can control this. 10 minutes. Make yourself heard.
Awesome. Peri, thank you. Thank you. Giovanni, you want to take us home, brother?
I'll take you home. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Peri, you just enlightened me. You took me to another level as a civic servant. Thank you so well. I'm not a civic servant. You know what I mean? A servant of the world, but certainly for my community. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Peri, amazing. Everybody have a great, great, great day, a phenomenal week, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, everybody. Hey, Lori K. Hey, Sheila. Hey, Rose.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Bye.